We replaced some older Shaw laminate flooring we had due to some water damage with Shaw luxury vinyl tile, their fold and go product that has the fold and tap system in it. And here we are toward the end of the first day, finishing up the dining area. Of course, when you start it, you start in a corner and work your way over. And here I am cutting one of the pieces. We certainly don't have a rectangular or square room by any means with our dining area, kitchen, and the hallway where we installed it, so there were a lot of cuts to be made. You need to make sure that there's at least a 1/4 of an inch gap on all the edges. And I ended up using a lot of my tools, the jigsaw, the circular saw, the table saw, and a miter saw, 12-inch miter saw, to cut the pieces. And I found it was necessary to use these types of tools. Using just scoring it with a Stanley knife and breaking it works on larger pieces, but not for the intricate cuts. And I frankly think it's kind of a dangerous approach to do it the other way. So it's easier to use power tools. But there's a lot of dust with the vinyl, so you need to do it outside of your living area. Here I'm using my garage workshop area. And so installation is pretty straightforward. You need to make sure that it's clean because any debris under the floor obviously is not going to be a good thing. And the tiles, even out of the box, seem to have a lot of particles on them. So you simply put it in an angle, like I'm doing here, and it fits down nicely. And the other thing to make sure you have a snug fit is to make a tapping block out of, here I'm using a rubber mallet, white rubber mallet, to tap it in place at the end. Okay, here's a little tapping block made out of scrap to tap it into place to make sure you have a really tight seam. And here we are the second day. My friend Robert helped me with the installation. He was really invaluable because it was a lot of work. We didn't have much time to get it installed. So I appreciated that. My wife Nanette is helping me as well. Cutting and installing. The bigger challenges I had was getting it under the stove because we have a large stove. It's really not easy to move around, so we had to do a lot of finagling to get that in there. Okay, there's a piece. I want to make sure it goes underneath the door jamb at the end, so we kind of tapped it into place. Again, here's another situation with a door jamb. So we used a hairdryer to soften some of these pieces so that we could slide it in underneath the door jamb area. You can see that it's somewhat raised because the old flooring was thicker. And I wanted to make sure that this didn't show. So I wanted to make sure that I cut the pieces as much as I could underneath the door jamb, still allowing plenty of area for expansion, but so that you couldn't see the end of the pieces. At some point I might decide to cut and try to fit pieces in the door jamb. But we'll see. I think it ends up looking pretty decent this way. There's my dog Max, who likes to be the center of attention and wants to know what's going on anytime.
Excuse me, Max.
Things change. Again, I'm tapping it in with a rubber mallet, white rubber mallet. You can see the camera's moving around there a little bit. It fit in there nicely. So again, the tapping block just to make sure that the seam is tight. And you can kind of see here that it gets a little bit closer because you don't want any open seams at all. Here's Max again.
Max, go sit down.
Finally, we're getting to the hallway and closet area. I'm just getting the pieces fit here. And the last piece.
Jeez.
Took about 3 days to do this.
Ta-da!
Not including
Ta-da.
Done. Not including the shoe molding. Here's the final floor. And you can see all the shoe molding, the coat around is installed as well and painted. And still have to put finish on that transition piece and put it into place. But I was really careful to, when I put in the shoe molding, to make sure that I had the angles right and to do end cuts so that it transitioned nice on all the pieces. You can see one of the corners here. Actually bought myself a little electronic protractor so that I could, because a lot of the angles are either 91 or 89 degrees, and you can definitely see the gap if you don't get that right. So we're really happy with the way the floor turned out, and we saved about $1,000 in the process, and of course have the satisfaction of doing it ourselves.